The quiet hum of the nursery was sliced open by the tiny, chipper voice coming from my phone speaker. My newborn daughter, Maya, just 3 weeks old, was curled up on my chest, her tiny breasts rising and falling in soft rhythm. The peace of the moment was shattered with every word. "Hi, Sarah, it's Brenda," came the unnaturally cheerful tone. "Just giving you a quick update. We've had to make some difficult budget decisions for Q4. Long story short, your position as head of digital campaigns has been disestablished. Effective immediately." I didn't move, just listened. "All the budgets tied to your projects are being transferred to the new Markham Strategy Unit," Brenda continued. "Chloe Armitage will be stepping in to lead that team. She's bringing a fresh perspective. HR will reach out soon with the paperwork. Take care." A click. Silence. My job gone. While I was on legally protected parental leave, my carefully structured campaigns, months of planning, handed off to Chloe, Brenda's famously underqualified best friend. Her fresh perspective usually amounted to buzzwords with no substance. I stared down at Maya's peaceful face, unaware of the bomb that just detonated in her mother's career. Shock gave way to a razor-sharp clarity. This wasn't corporate restructuring. It was a personal attack, delivered with cowardice and sugar-coated cruelty via voicemail. Brenda clearly thought the timing was perfect, that I'd be too exhausted, too distracted with a newborn to put up a fight, that I'd simply disappear. With slow, deliberate care, I laid Maya in her bassinet. My movements were steady, my purpose absolute. I picked up my phone and played the message again, making sure I memorized every carefully chosen phrase. Then I opened my email and typed a one-word reply to Brenda's work address, a mailbox I knew she checked obsessively. Noted, no emotion, no reaction, just a single calculated word. Let her sit with that. Let her think I was quietly defeated. But I wasn't, because I knew my rights. In New Zealand, under the Employment Relations Act 2000, parental leave means your job, or a comparable one, is protected, and renaming the department while replacing me with her bestie, that was a redundancy. That was a transparent sham. My first call wasn't to HR. It was to Anna Kararma, one of the most respected employment lawyers in Auckland. I had saved her contact after attending a leadership seminar she gave for women in tech the year before. As I explained what happened, Anna's responses were short and confident. "Clear personal grievance, Sarah. Discriminatory dismissal based on parental status. It's a textbook case of sham redundancy." "What's the company's name?" she asked. "Kauri Digital," I replied, mid-sized, pretending to play with the big players. "Good to know," Anna said. "We're not just going for reinstatement or a severance check. We're going after accountability. This deserves attention." Over the following days, between late-night feedings and diaper changes, I worked closely with Anna. I gave her everything: emails, glowing performance reviews, project documentation. Most importantly, I handed over all files related to Project Voyager, a national campaign I conceptualized, pitched, and secured for our largest client, Tourism Aotearoa. It was highly complex, data-driven, and entering a crucial phase of execution within weeks. Chloe wouldn't have a clue where to even start. Through a quiet connection still working inside Kauri Digital, I learned that Brenda hadn't merely absorbed my project funds. She had reallocated a large chunk of Voyager's analytics budget to support a superficial brand refresh initiative headed by Chloe. New logos, fluff messaging, classic Chloe nonsense. It wasn't just unethical. It was business suicide and put a multi-million-dollar client relationship in jeopardy. Anna drafted the letter. It wasn't addressed to Brenda. It went straight to the top, Jonathan Royce, CEO of Kauri Digital. Copies were also sent to the board of directors and the head of HR, who I strongly suspected had been steamrolled or deceived by Brenda. The letter was brilliant. It laid out with meticulous precision every breach of employment law, the unlawful nature of my dismissal, the blatant discrimination, and the obvious falsehood of the redundancy claim. It detailed the risk Kauri Digital now faced, both legally and reputationally. The potential damage from mishandling Project Voyager was enormous. Anna made sure to highlight the likely fallout with Tourism Aotearoa, citing my key role in the campaign and the baffling redirection of essential funds. We didn't mention the media. We didn't need to. The message was clear. I could only imagine Brenda's reaction when Royce, or worse, a board member, forwarded her the letter. That exact moment of dawning horror, when she'd realized her smug little power move was about to blow up in her face. And that cold, one-word note would finally make terrifying sense. It was far too late for her to apologize or fix things. The wheels were already turning, and far above her authority. 3 days after Anna's letter was delivered, the phone rang. It wasn't Brenda. It was Jonathan Royce. His voice was tight, sincere, and filled with regret. "Sarah," he said, "I'm deeply sorry this has happened. I wasn't fully aware of how things had played out," Jonathan Royce admitted, his voice steady but grave. "Brenda's conduct in this matter was unacceptable. We're treating this with the seriousness it deserves." He suggested a formal meeting. Anya and I showed up prepared. Brenda was already there, visibly shaken, her complexion pale, her presence diminished. Chloe, notably, was nowhere to be seen. Gavin, the head of HR, looked like he'd been living on caffeine and no sleep. Royce took charge of the discussion. He didn't try to excuse what had happened. He knew he couldn't. The facts were damning. Brenda kept her lips tightly sealed, though she sent me the occasional bitter glance. I returned each one with calm, composed indifference. Anya, direct and collected, presented our demands without hesitation. Immediate reinstatement to my original position, same title, same reporting line, full control over my previous budget, retroactive pay, KiwiSaver contributions included, a formal written apology from Brenda, copied to the board, and finally, substantial compensation for the emotional damage, public embarrassment, and breach of dignity under New Zealand law. There was a long pause. Then Royce added something we hadn't expected. "Sarah," he said, "in light of your role in spearheading key initiatives like Project Voyager, we believe you're more than due for promotion to Director of Digital Strategy. You will receive a salary increase and oversee a larger team, reporting directly to me. As for Brenda, she'll be moved to a role outside of marketing, while we conduct a full internal audit of her leadership practices." My eyebrows lifted just slightly. This went far beyond what I anticipated. Brenda's face hardened into a furious mask, but she stayed silent. The message was clear. She had been ordered to say nothing. Anya and I exchanged a quick, meaningful glance. Royce went on. "We acknowledge that Chloe Armitage's appointment was premature. Her contract is under review, and your authority over Project Voyager, including its original budget, will be reinstated at once." It was more than just a concession. It was a full reversal, a public acknowledgement of my professional worth, a sharp contrast to Brenda's petty attempt to write me off. And it was far too late for Brenda to fix any of it. The damage she'd done to her credibility, her position, her reputation was irreversible. She'd made the mistake of equating maternity leave with helplessness. She forgot I wasn't just a marketer. I was a strategist, both in campaigns and in surviving corporate sabotage. A few weeks later, I returned to Cowrie Digital, not to the same corner of the office I'd left behind, but to a new, spacious executive suite. Maya was doing beautifully, cared for by a brilliant nanny. I felt focused, renewed, and ready. Under my leadership once again, Project Voyager was realigned and thriving. Tourism Aotearoa had received quiet reassurances directly from Royce himself about the internal corrections we'd made to protect their campaign, and their trust was restored. As for Brenda, she'd been shuffled off to a vague, special projects position somewhere far from the core departments. Everyone understood it was a holding pen until her quiet exit could be arranged. No farewell party. No fanfare. Chloe resigned days after I came back, reportedly to explore new opportunities. The general consensus was that once Brenda's shield was gone, she couldn't handle the real demands of the job. And that one-word reply, noted, hadn't been a throwaway. It was the first move in a quiet, deliberate counterstrike. Brenda thought she'd slammed the door shut on my future. Instead, she unlocked a bigger one and walked herself right out of hers. What stayed with me wasn't just the satisfaction of winning. It was knowing I defended what mattered, my dignity, my career, my legal rights, I stood firm, and the system, for once, stood with me. And every time I crossed paths with Jonathan Royce, he'd greet me with a quiet nod, respectful, understated. A gesture for the woman who didn't back down. That's how it happened. Thanks for watching. If you connected with this story, drop a comment below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next one of my betrayal diaries.